It started on a rainy night in the small town of Ashbrook, when Emily and her 6-year-old son Noah moved into the old 2-story house at the end of Willow Lane. The realtor had said it was a cozy little place with history, but the moment Emily stepped through the creaking front door, she felt something watching her. The air inside was colder than the storm outside. The house smelled faintly of damp wood and iron, like old blood that refused to fade. Still, she convinced herself it was just an old house, and her nerves were just city stress. Noah was too excited to care. He ran up the narrow staircase to claim his room, the one with a small window and the bed that came with the house. Emily didn't notice the deep scratches underneath that bed frame. The first few nights were quiet, until Noah started waking up screaming, saying there was a man under his bed. Emily thought it was nightmares from a move. She comforted him, tucked him in, and checked under the bed every night, finding nothing but darkness and dust. But Noah insisted. He whispers to me, "Mommy. He says he used to live here." By the third night, Emily began to hear faint noises herself. Tapping sounds coming from the floorboards, whispers too soft to understand, and the occasional sound of breathing when she leaned too close to Noah's bed. She called the landlord, who told her the house had been empty for decades since the last owner, a man named Arthur Bell, disappeared without a trace. His wife had been found in the woods behind the house, her body mutilated beyond recognition. The police never found Arthur, but the neighbors swore they still heard him moving around the property at night. Emily tried to dismiss it as ghost stories, but when she checked online, she found a grainy black and white photo of Arthur Bell, his eyes hollow and lifeless, and the caption read, "Presumed dead, last seen in his home on Willow Lane." The same house she was now living in. That night, the whispers grew louder. Emily woke to the sound of Noah's voice, whispering softly. She entered his room, finding him sitting up in bed, his eyes open but blank. "Noah," she asked. He turned to her slowly and said in a voice that wasn't his own, "He's cold down there. He wants to come out." Emily froze. The air around her seemed to thicken, the shadows shifting as if alive. She flipped on the light, nothing there. Noah blinked, confused, as if waking from a dream. She pulled him into her arms, trembling. The next morning, she decided to get rid of the bed. She called a local junk hauler to pick it up, but when they tried to lift it, one of them yelped in pain. His hand had been cut open by a nail that hadn't been visible before. Blood dripped onto the wooden floor, and as it soaked in, a dark stain began to spread wider than it should have. The men dropped the bed and refused to touch it again. Emily scrubbed the stain, but it would seem to drink the blood, leaving behind a dark, pulsing patch that never dried. That night, Emily slept beside Noah on the couch. The rain returned, hammering against the windows. Around midnight, she heard footsteps upstairs. She thought it was the wind, until she heard Noah's bedroom door creak open. She grabbed a flashlight and crept upstairs, her heart pounding. The beam of light caught the old wallpaper peeling off, revealing strange markings underneath, circles and lines drawn in what looked like dried rust or blood. The door to Noah's room was half open. Inside, the bed was back in place. She froze. She had seen the junk haulers drag it outside that morning. Now it stood exactly where it had been, the same blanket folded neatly, the same dent in the pillow. Emily's breath hitched. The air was colder here, sharp like ice. Then she heard it, a long, slow breath from under the bed. Her flashlight flickered, and for a brief second, she saw two eyes staring back at her from the darkness, wide, unblinking, reflecting the light. She stumbled backward, slammed the door, and ran downstairs. Noah was still asleep on the couch. The next day, she took him to stay with her sister in town. She returned alone that evening to pack their things. But as she entered the house, she realized every light was already on. The TV was playing static, and there were wet footprints on the floor, leading from Noah's room to the front door, then vanishing. She followed them upstairs, trembling. The bedroom smelled of earth and rot. The bed was still there, but now it was wet, like something had crawled out of a swamp and lain on it. Emily forced herself to look underneath, and for a moment she saw nothing. But as she began to pull away, a hand shot out and grabbed her wrist, cold, rough, covered in mud. She screamed and yanked free, stumbling backward. A man's face emerged from the shadows, pale, stretched, his mouth open too wide, his eyes sunken yet gleaming with rage. "Why did you take him away?" he hissed, voice dry as dust. Emily ran, slamming the door behind her, racing downstairs as lights flickered and the walls groaned. The house seemed alive, vibrating with anger. She made it to the front door, but it wouldn't open. She pulled, kicked, screamed, but it was like the door was glued shut. From upstairs came the sound of footsteps again, heavy and uneven. A whisper crawled down the stairs, a voice she recognized, Noah's. "Mommy, he's not gone. He's under the bed again." Emily turned, tears in her eyes. "Noah," she whispered, but Noah wasn't there. The voice came from everywhere at once. She backed away, clutching a broken lamp as a weapon. The power died. Darkness swallowed the house. Only the sound of breathing remained, slow and deep, coming from behind her. She turned the flashlight on and saw the outline of a man standing inches away. His face twisted in fury. He lunged. She swung the lamp, glass shattered, and everything went black. When Emily's sister came the next morning, the front door was open, the house quiet. Emily's car was in the driveway, but she was gone. Noah's room looked untouched except for one thing. The bed was missing. In its place, there was a dark, damp hole in the floor. The police filled it in, sealed the house, and called it a disappearance. But a month later, the new owners moved in, a couple with a young daughter named Lily. On their first night, Lily told her parents she couldn't sleep because someone kept whispering from under her bed. When her father checked, he saw nothing but a faint outline in the dust, the shape of a handprint pressed against the floorboards from underneath. That night, the whispers began again, and in the soft hum of the wind, a deep, cracked voice murmured, "She took my boy. You'll give me yours." The rain fell harder. Somewhere beneath the floor, something shifted, something that had never truly left. The house on Willow Lane watched, waited, and breathed.